Today, we're diving into a piece of tech that's absolutely vital for pretty much any network, but, it often gets overlooked. We're talking about the network switch. And more importantly, we're going to figure out how you can choose the right brain for your entire setup. See, it really all comes down to this one big question. When you're setting up or maybe upgrading your network, do you go for a managed switch or an unmanaged one? They might look kind of similar on the outside, but believe me, what they can do, well, they're worlds apart. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll look at what a switch actually does, we'll break down the two main types, put them head to head, and then help you figure out which one is right for you. And hey, maybe you can even have the best of both worlds. So let's get into it. Okay, first things first. What in the world is this unsung hero of your network anyway? I just love this quote because it's the perfect way to think about it. A switch is basically the central command for all your connected gadgets. It's like an air traffic controller for your data. Everything flows into it, and it smartly directs all that information exactly where it needs to go. So its main job is to connect everything on your local area network, your LAN. That's all your computers, your printers, your game consoles, all in one place. It intelligently sends packets of data only to the device that's actually supposed to get it. And that right there is what makes it so much smarter than, say, an old school hub, which would just shout that data out to every single device plugged into it. Way more efficient. All right, so now that we've got a handle on what a switch is, let's talk about the two main flavors you're going to find. And really, this is a choice between two totally different philosophies. Do you want absolute simplicity, or do you want ultimate control? So first up, we have the unmanaged switch. This thing is the absolute definition of simplicity. You literally take it out of the box, plug in the power, connect your devices with your Ethernet cables, and that's it. You're done. It just works. There are no settings to mess with, no software to install. It is built for pure convenience. And then on the complete other side of the coin, you've got the managed switch. And just like the name says, this one is all about giving you control. This is a much more powerful device that lets you get right under the hood and manage, configure, and monitor your network with a ton of detail. So we've got plug and play versus total control. But how does it actually translate into features and performance in the real world? Let's put them side by side and really break down the differences. This chart really lays out the trade-offs, doesn't it? With an unmanaged switch, it's pure plug and play, super easy and way cheaper. But a managed switch, yeah, it needs some configuration, but in return, you get a massive amount of control. We're talking advanced security and some really powerful features. For instance, you could prioritize your Zoom call so it doesn't lag, or you could create something called VLANs, virtual LANs. Just think of those as creating separate, totally secure mini networks all on the same physical switch. It's perfect for, say, keeping your work computer network completely isolated from your personal devices. That kind of fine-tuned control is the real game changer here, and it's exactly why they cost a bit more. Okay, so keeping all that in mind, we get to the most important question of all. Which one is actually right for you? Let's try to match the tech to a few common situations. Look, if you're just running a normal home network, maybe 5 to 8 people connecting their phones, laptops, and TVs for streaming and gaming, then an unmanaged switch is almost definitely the perfect fit. It's simple, it's cheap, and it gets the job done without any headache. But the whole calculation changes if you are working from home and you handle sensitive data. If that's the case, then the security benefits you get from a managed switch make it a much, much better choice. You can make sure your work computer always has the bandwidth it needs, and you can create that separate, secure virtual network just for your work stuff. Now, here's a really important heads up. All that power and control, it comes with a pretty steep learning curve. Setting up a managed switch can get really complex, and if you're not super comfortable with networking concepts, you might find it pretty overwhelming. You might even need to call in a pro to get it set up the right way. So it kind of feels like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Simplicity versus security. But what if you didn't actually have to choose? Let's talk about a hybrid approach that might just give you the best of both worlds. And that brings us to this final, really key question. Is it even possible to use both an unmanaged and a managed switch on the same network? And the answer is a big, emphatic yes, you absolutely can. In fact, it's a really common and super smart way to build a network. You can use one powerful managed switch as the central brain, right where your internet comes into the house. Then you can run cables from that to cheaper, simpler, unmanaged switches in other rooms where you just need to plug a few things in. So let's just boil this all down, shall we? Unmanaged switches are all about convenience and simplicity. Managed switches are for control and security. Neither one is just better than the other. The right choice depends completely, 100% on what you need your network to do. At the end of the day, this isn't just about picking a piece of hardware. It's about understanding what's possible for your network. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Now that you know the difference, is your network really living up to its full potential? Thanks for tuning in.